hard on the politicians for what they do, but this is not an attempt to denigrate what Washington needs to do. This is about the consumer. We live in a capitalistic society. I love capitalism, but capitalism can be exploited when people who buy products don't pay attention. Okay? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about what's called the standard American diet. Okay, I use the acronym S.A.D, the standard American diet. When it comes to making food and supplement choices, our choices are often dependent upon the following. Our senses, all right, that's how it tastes. When the first thing someone asks me, something tastes better than that, therefore that must be better. Sight, feel, in this case it can be the mouth feel, what it feels like when something hits our mouth. Smell, what am I missing? Taste, sight, feel, smell. There's one more. Hearing, sound, yes. If you ever go to Chili's and they come through with that fajita, it's like, I don't know what I want. You hear that? I want that. Well, that's not by mistake that they do that. Okay, so many times this is what we make our decisions on, based just on this, and we fail to use the common sense. Okay, this oftentimes overrides. Secondly, in dealing with this, it's going to be affordability. As Americans, we like cheap stuff. Okay, and we'll go to the ends of the earth to find cheap stuff. Okay, that's fine. We want to find affordable stuff. And lastly, we depend on someone's endorsement. All right, and this is often how we make decisions. Now, this is the way the food industry and the supplement industry works. You want to write food industry here, supplement industry here. Okay. Over here you employ what's called food technologists. Over here you have a group of people that you call formulators. All right? So, picture yourself being a food technologist. You're given a budget. You know this is how people make decisions. All right? Your job is dependent upon your ability to make product A to be able to appeal to this right here. And this is called having the total experience. Okay? You go into a particular store, say like Bath Body Works. It's that place that sells the soap and the lotions and stuff. Okay, you go into that place right there. They do a brilliant idea of the whole idea of sight, sound, touch, feel, smell, all of that. Their job is to get you involved in the total experience, because they know the more senses they get involved, the more quickly you're going to purchase something. Okay? This whole area of marketing, I'm telling some of your secrets, aren't I? She's a Target executive. But being able to get this whole thing involved, the more you can do that, the more people are going to purchase. Okay? And the second thing, you bring in this. So if I'm a food technologist and I'm a supplement formulator, I have 3 grades. One is called good enough. Okay, you own the company, you hire me. You say, okay, I'm hiring you for X amount of dollars. I need you to make a product that appeals to as much of this as possible, so I can sell as much of this as possible. Okay? So as a formulator or a food technologist, I say, okay, I've got 3 standards. I've got good enough, I got good, and I've got good. And I tell you how much each one of those are going to cost based on my formulas. And as a CEO, executive of your company, you say, okay, I think I want one product to be this, 2 of my products to be this, and 1 of my products to be that. Okay, so then I put my stuff together and say, okay, this is how you got to do it. This is your sources, this is where you got to get it from, this is your price points, blah, blah, blah. In comes the marketers. Now the marketing company comes in. These food technologists people and the formulators really don't want you to know who they are because they work for sometimes competitors. Okay, they're just kind of like in the background. They make their stuff. They don't want any fanfare because they're just strictly scientists. That's the way they look at stuff, okay? All right, so this is what we're up against in the food industry. We are at the mercy of the scruples of the individuals who own the company. So one of the things you have to be able to ask yourself when I'm making a decision about something, or you see a claim, the biggest word that we can ask is this three-letter word. Why? And number two, how? Okay, so say I'm going to give you a product. You trust me? You say, yeah, he looks like he's doing something real good. I'm going to tell it to him. And I say, okay, take this product. It's going to help you lose fat. The first thing you need to ask is, how is he going to do that? Now, if I answered in such a question that's anecdotal, like, well, you know, I was at 230 pounds 2.5 months ago, and now I'm at 207. That's not going to work. Because all I've done is I've given you a subjective answer that's based on me. I'm the subject, so it's based on me. The question needs to be is something that's objective. So you have to know how the body burns body fat. If you don't know how the body burns body fat, then you're going to take this product believing that it's going to burn body fat. Okay? You look at why. Why is this product better than product A or product B? Is it based only because on who endorses it? Is it based only because this tastes better or it appeals more to my senses? Why is it like that? So we look at the ingredients. This is the take-home message. This is the holy triangle of the food industry. They have to appeal to three things here. I call these tools. We have salt, we have fat, and we have sweet. Okay? Salt also will be seasoned. When dealing with making a product, how I manipulate those is based on the focus group that I use. In the industry, before I got myself cleansed out, my big thing was Doritos. I love Doritos. My idea was that I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do this, I gotta have something. Okay, so I would have Doritos and Milo sweet tea. Those are two things that are always in my house. Okay, the problem with is that I used to do it all the time. Okay, there was always 2 gallons of Milo sweet tea in my refrigerator. Always 2 gallons. Anytime I went up north to see my family, I took a cooler up. Because I turned them on too. I was like a drug runner. Okay? Because you couldn't get tea like that in St. Louis. I grew up in St. Louis drinking tea, but when I went back, I couldn't drink their tea anymore. Okay, so it was Doritos and that. One thing I discovered when I looked at the Doritos is that in their focus group, one of the things that they found, that if people have to choose something more than 8 times, they chose something else. So they had a little group together, and what they would do, at the University of Illinois has this great food technology department, and they study all this stuff. And they invite people to different things, and what they're doing actually is consumer testing. So you may be thinking you're going to a Super Bowl party, and at this party they may have 3 types of Doritos out there. And what they're doing is that they are looking at how many times people pick from different things, and how they gravitate towards something else. So one thing they discovered when it deals with chips, it deals with people have to chew more than 8 times, they're not going to come back to that particular product if they're basing it on this. Okay? So what they do is that they say, okay, what we've got to do is that we've got to lower the fiber content because the more some fibers in it, the more you got to chew it. We got to lower the fiber, and we got to up the fat, and we've got to combine these two right here. Voila, Doritos chips. Okay? Now, the point I want to make in here is this. When I would eat these, the bag would be in front of me. After I got away from this a while and had what's called pause points, which means if I eat it now, I put it in a bowl. And I put the bag in the refrigerator, and then I go to the couch. If I want more, I got to get off my butt, walk back, dump some more in that bowl, and then walk back. Those are called pause points. It makes me think on the way. why am I doing this? Why am I going to the refrigerator? Okay? And what begins to happen is that I find myself that I can now be satisfied with eating a bowl, where before the bag would be empty. Okay? So you got to put up what's called pause point. So my point is that I'm not saying stay away from your favorite food. I'm just saying understand that there's things that you may be eating, that you eat it mindlessly, and it's not because you've lost your mind, it's because these guys, who are very smart, have figured it out with their rhesus test monkeys, how we're going to react when we bite into their product. Those of you who are over 40 years old, Lay's potato chips used to have a commercial. I bet you can't eat just one. Okay? That slogan was hashed around in focus groups. Because with the American psyche, you tell them they can't do something, I bet I can. Well, they made millions off of that. Why? Because they figured this out. So ask yourself, as far as food is concerned, what is it that I eat a lot of? What begins to happen is that the more of those items that you lay in there, and because we like things to taste the same in March that we like to taste in August, they have to bring uniformity in it. In nature, things don't happen uniform. Okay? Grandma can cook hamburgers, and she can have a batch of hamburgers, and they all look different. Okay? In the food industry, the moment you make something, people want it to look the same. Okay? They don't want a big Dorito and a small Dorito. They want them all to look the same. So when they grab them, they know exactly what they're getting. When they put it in their mouth, they know exactly how you eat them. Oreos cookies the same way. All right? The exact shape of them, or exact how they wanted it. How you got to twist them is exactly how they want it. All that goes into it. So you ask yourself, when I would eat those, why would I get what was called the bliss point? Like, it's because that combination went to the pleasure center of my brain like a drug. And it ignited something and made me want more. But what begins to happen is that once you begin to cleanse your system out, you go back to that and they don't taste the same anymore. Or you find out that you do have a breaking point where now you're satisfied. You don't continue to feed that bliss point or that pleasure center in your brain because you've known how to be satisfied with just a little bit. I can still drink sweet tea, but I won't drink it by the gallon. I won't bring the gallon in my house. If I have it at a restaurant, I'll drink the sweet tea, then I'll drink water. I'll drink sweet tea and I drink water. I won't go back-to-back sweet teas. But before, as long as I was thirsty, bring on the sweet tea. Okay? The other part of it, when we talk about this is where the industry thrives. We have to become smarter as consumers. We need to ask questions. Okay? Ask questions. Because the thing that's at stake is going to be your health, your money, if you're in sports or you're doing anything that requires activity, your performance. All those things are at stake. And you have to ask yourself, who's going to be in charge of that? The government sure is not going to be in charge of it. Okay? So, we don't want to look to Washington to figure this out. We don't want to look to whoever to figure it out. Each person has to ask this for themselves. Okay? Now, Crystal's going to come up and talk about her experience. She's had some experiences too. I think Wendy's has gone out of business. Popeye's chicken has gone out of business since I've been up. When I went to Popeyes, I always had to go to the buffet. If I didn't go to the buffet, I always had to have that coupon.